tonight we want to talk a little bit about that and let Mike kind of give you his thoughts on everything and maybe ask you a few questions and let you guys know what we're thinking.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I love the book. I wonder, what what is your greatest hope for this book, ladies?
I mean, to reach as many as we can reach with the gospel. I mean, that's the whole purpose of it. Is for lives to be changed the way that ours have been changed.
Yeah, just to see women actually walk into freedom. I feel like the whole truth, the entire truth of the word has been withheld from so many. And I feel like it's time to let some women know why they're so frustrated in their Christian walk is because they've not stepped over into complete obedience. Kind of giving God a bad rap, like, oh, it didn't work for me. Well, did you do the whole thing?
Yeah. When you say that the whole truth has been withheld from them, what do you mean?
Like maybe it wasn't intentional or evil motives, but a lot of times churches will veer away from the book of Acts or Acts 2:4 experience just because sometimes it gets messy. It takes courage to pastor a church and keep things in order. And so sometimes it's just not preached in order to gain the masses, and as a result there's a lot of people who are missing out on the power that they need. So I felt like it was in my heart. It's my duty. It's what we should do.
I mean, we just believe in the power of the Holy Spirit, and so we want more to understand what that means.
Right. Me too. When they're done with the book, what do you want them to do?
I want them to have a whole new lease on life. For some who are already spirit filled, it's not really, anything new, but it does fire them up. When I read things that are inspirational, it does help me. I listen to inspirational stuff every day because I need it. It just charges me up. And so I know that's what it will do for many. But then there are some who are going to stumble on it and it will change everything. It will change their marriage, their home. It will change even what they do for a living for the better. And that's that's the end game. Just
we know that lives can be totally changed. The Holy Spirit, when I received the baptism of the Holy Spirit, the whole direction of my life changed, but not just for me, but for my entire household. And so we understand what it can do when people truly walk in the fullness of what God intended for us to walk in. And they can walk into freedom, out of bondage, into freedom. And even if they have received the baptism, it's a continual feeling. If we're not continually searching our heart, and asking God to continually fill us, then we won't continue in that freedom.
Right. We're leaky. We leak.
That's good. What do you hope from us for you?
We would just like to get out. We feel like, we've probably exhausted our sphere of influence at this point. I feel like, over the months and even years, we will still get sales from it. But, if it's the Lord's will for us to get it in the hands of more people, then we're all for that. We've already had one family that is Hispanic, and the husband can read English, his wife cannot. And he's like, the Spanish community need books like this because they're not available. And of course that's above our
we went to our reach, and so we're looking for somebody that can help us reach more. And we've got the Lord on our side, we know that, but we need somebody with a different skill set than what we have. We have our jobs, and so we don't have time to learn how to market and to do those things to move it further. So it's to reach more people for the kingdom, not any glory for us, and we're not in it for to make gobs of money, but we want the kingdom spread.
Sure. Well, lots of book sales means lots of people are impacted, which means that revenue comes, and so all of that is, kind of the direction they hold each other's hands in the process. So you mentioned, are you thinking you want to translate this into Spanish?
I mean, I'm just saying that's an example of things that are beyond our reach. Yes, sure, we would love that, but, it's just kind of an example of there's only so much we personally can do. If I learned anything from this first book is that it's just really better to get professionals to do what you're doing, because just, even just the learning curve of trying to lay out a book was crazy. I shouldn't have done it.
I understand that. I sometimes say that every day. So, and how are you feeling about doing a course?
No,
it's natural for us.
We've kind of already
we've
done it.
Yeah.
I mean, we have all the videos on YouTube that go along with every chapter of our book. So, I mean, we really just kind of already have that groundwork done.
Okay.
I mean, of course, we would
Of
want to
course, it's
redo
quality.
it. I mean,
Yeah,
so
I know the
well, I'm not
quality's
saying
not
we would
great,
use
but-
it, but I'm saying we've already done that kind
Mhm.
of to the best of our ability, and so we
Right.
know that it could be tweaked and done better.
Okay. So James and I and our team, also Scott. I don't know if you met Scott. He was there.
Mhm.
But,
Yeah.
We've looked through the book. It's pretty good. If I was going to score it 1 to 10, I'd probably score a 7 or an 8.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's pretty good. I think what I would probably do is it needs work.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm sure.
And these are kind of the questions I want to ask you is, would you be willing to go back through it, add some more story, kind of let that get a little better developed so it becomes, what I want is people, as I said in my workshop, what I want is people to pick up your book and go, this thing changed my life inside of 24 hours.
Mm.
I couldn't put it down. I bought 10 more copies for my family.
Mhm.
I took my copy all dog-eared and took it to my pastor and said, you must read
Mhm.
this. That's the kind of impact that we want to see from books. And it's what raises that book to the next level.
Mhm.
So I would like to see you guys, this is my ideal. Okay, I'd like to see you guys go back through it and add some more story to it and tell some stories that are applicable to the chapters that you've got. I also see that you probably want to break some of your teaching out and go a little deeper in it in the workbook.
Mhm.
Okay, so you've got a separate workbook that goes with your study guide.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I'm repeating myself to something you've heard. I apologize, but I just want you to realize the book comes first,
Mhm.
then the outline for the course. Okay, then we shoot the course,
Mhm.
then you write the study guide.
Okay.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's the creative process. Now, a lot of people will want to go right to the study guide before they do the videos. Don't do that. Work on the outline, get rid, and the pieces that you and your editor will want to take away from the book and then put over. You
Mhm.
guys will decide. Well, let's take this and put that in the study guide.
Mhm.
Let's take that. All you're going to do for right now is throw that in a file. Okay, you're not going to do anything with it until you're ready. Until after you've recorded the study, the course.
Okay.
Okay. Then it takes 3-4 months to do all the post editing.
Mhm.
So while that's going on, that's the perfect time to put the polishing on it. Also, in the creative process, believe me, after you have redone the book, and I don't mean redone it. I don't mean to redo the whole thing, but you've improved the book, and then you've outlined it, and then you speak it.
Mhm.
It's in here now,
Mhm.
deeper than it's ever before. So when you go to do the study guide, it just
Easy.
comes together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Opposed to trying to labor through. This is something also, I learned as a pastor. I can lay my whole sermon out. I can have it pretty solid. I can study. I love the Book of Romans. I probably start everything with the Book of Romans.
Mhm.
And so I can have all that. I have much of Romans memorized,
Awesome.
and yet after I speak it, now it becomes mine. Now
Mhm.
it's in here.
Mhm.
Okay, And if I speak up multiple times, then it becomes part of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so it becomes a known revelation opposed to, a teaching.
Right. Easier to relate because it's
Yeah.
in you. It's who you are.
Yeah. So that's my ideal, is to see you guys maybe rework some of these chapters, add some more story into it, work with an editor, probably Naomi, who would work with you to pull some of the other material, put it in a file,
Mm-hmm.
kind of clean that and tighten it up. I don't really think you should change the title.
Okay.
Okay, we might take the cover and do a little with the original design, but do a little bit more with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so take a cover designer to do it. If we make those kinds of changes, you're going to need to redesign the interior. It just has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's all stuff we'll take care of course.
Okay.
And then I don't know if you remember us talking about a peer review, but I think it'd be a good idea to do a peer review on it. So get some pastors and some other women's ministry leaders and whatnot to look it over. Not just to look it over, but to read the book. Give us some feedback in case we've missed something.
Mm-hmm.
And often we do. I just want you to know that. Often I try to tell people, when you get to the place where your manuscript, you think it's ready. I think it's ready. Your editor thinks it's ready. Everybody thinks it's ready. It's actually our best guess at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now my guesses are pretty good because I've been doing this a long time, but still, they're our best guess at that moment. So having somebody that's completely apart from it, reading it and giving us some feedback is helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it comes back with not much feedback. Other times it comes back with, "Oh my gosh, you drove this off the, this is pretty wrong."
Mm-hmm.
Which is also something we want to know. If it's way wrong, we don't.
Right. We need to know.
Yeah, we don't want to print it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I feel like we got kind of are ahead of the game. I mean, a little bit on that. We've gotten great reviews from the people that have read it this far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm not challenging this, but one of the things you need to check your own self about is, are these people
My friends.
of the family?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
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 Yeah. What are the real critics going to say? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or people who are going to be really critical about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or, and then you just kind of have to look at it, each
Mm-hmm.
one of them. I have people that criticize a lot my work, and I have to kind of stop and wait. Well, what,
Mm-hmm.
what do they like? What do they don't like? And then listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Charlie Hubmard started what used to be the Gospel Music Channel and is now Up Channel. If you've ever seen it. And when he first started the Gospel Music Channel and then he converted it over, he asked me, I told him one day, I like it a lot. I've been watching it, I like it. And he goes, "That's great. What do you hate about it?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He goes, "Everybody tells me they like it, but I can't fix any of the problems if somebody doesn't
Until
tell me
we
this
know.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
What's wrong with it?" So what are your questions?
I mean, what is the process as far as lengthwise? When you said, okay, I want y'all to look at the book and add to it, make corrections, what does that timeline look like that y'all would say?
So I typically ask everybody to take 8 months to do that. Now, if you do it faster and you get it done quicker, then we just, if we all agree that it's done and now it's ready to move forward, great. We just move it forward. If it goes past 8 months, usually Faith, our associate publisher, she'll be asking the editor, how come it's past its deadline?
Mm-hmm.
Are we moving? Sometimes we lose authors for months at a time. They just, something happened and they disappear for a while. We just have to kind of determine where that is, and then I actually give you a contractual extension if it's past the 8 months. And we've had a few people just disappear, like poof.
Vanish.
I have one guy. I don't know if he's alive or dead, or his wife doesn't email, or I just don't know what happened to him. Apart from driving to New Jersey and knocking on his door, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So 8 months would be it, but we can certainly, we'll move it at whatever pace you want. Is a point.
Okay.
And Naomi, our editor that I'm thinking about, I have to make sure that her calendar's clear, but she's a very experienced Christian editor. She was there at NRB.
Oh, okay. Sorry, we got some people coming in.
She worked with Luis Palau,
Okay.
evangelist, for
Mm-hmm.
years, and so she's pretty
Awesome.
good at it. And I feel pretty confident that she'll take this on, but I got to ask her. We don't make anybody take them on; we ask them
Good.
to do that. What other questions might you have?
What are the next steps? What are y'all thinking?
So, James is going to put together a proposal. Have you sent him a proposal yet, James?
I have not yet.
I didn't think so.
I also might just interject something really quick. I wanted to let you know that they're actually already working on book number 2.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Okay.
And just so you know, there is a second book, and there's also some of those additional products like a planner and
Right.
workbooks and things like that they're working on.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that now that you jogged my memory. So you and I probably have to figure that out together. So here's something for you ladies to think about. Do we jump in on this first book and have the editor spend enough time with you and do some Zoom coaching and stuff like that you can carry that into the second book? So in other words, you come equipped with the things that she taught you,
Mm-hmm.
and you take that into the second book. Or do you go into it with, I just want to make these tight changes that you're looking at, and then we can go deeper into the second book? What are your thoughts? What's your priority at the moment in your minds and your hearts?
We know we got we still have a good ways to go on the second book.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not completely finished. We've got the guts of it, but we both still want to go back through it.
Yeah, we're up to like chapter 7 now, but we're not. This is like we've got like 10 pages per chapter, and we're going through those with our women, and then we're gonna build on that afterwards. So I would think, I don't know, I'm really good about just like focusing on Brazen to Bombshell,
Me too.
getting that, and I'm sure that we'll learn so much from that. And then we'll pick up the link. You know, we're going to finish the link just because we've got a women's group that we're leading through that. And so we will finish what we're doing with that, just the groundwork for it, so that, you know, that's just like 3 or 4 weeks out. So we're through with that. And we can shelf that.
Yeah.
And then we'll go straight to working on B2B. And
Which I think that's definitely the better way, because it's hard for your mind to go back and forth, between the two and not get them.
Or what's your advice?
The reason I asked it the way I do is a lot of authors, all authors actually, when they really see themselves as authors and they really dump their guts into a book, that becomes their favorite book today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, even if they wrote 6 other books, the book they just finished is their favorite book today.
Mm-hmm.
And what I get on the publisher side is people come back to me and are like, okay, let's change everything around because I want to do this book now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, there's a methodology. Mm-hmm. We got to build a plan. What I see from Brazen is that we work really hard at getting that out there, and we've got lots of sales, and we've got lots of emails and contact information. Mm-hmm. And then when we go to release the next book, we just press send to announce it to, 50 or 100,000 people.
Right.
Opposed to going back and trying to dig through and start all over again. Let's just do this right from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You also haven't gotten so much exposure with Brazen that it feels like a redo.
Right.
The people that it will be a redo to, it won't matter.
Yeah.
Not enough of them.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
still really young,
So
right?
what's
I mean,
that?
It's still really young. Like it first like hit, in June.
Mhm.
So to me, I feel like it's still young. I don't
Okay.
know.
And then what are the other? So we got 2 books, 2 courses, and then what's the last thing, James? You mentioned something else.
So I believe I don't know if it was the workbook that would go with the course or the planner that we talked about.
The
other day.
planner
So,
could have its own course,
Mhm.
actually. So it could be, where you buy the planner and there's a course that teaches the disciplines to go along with it.
Okay, tell me about the planner. And if you have told me these things, I'm not remembering. I'm actually
No, we didn't.
We
We
didn't
hadn't
bring it up.
talked about it. James and I just talked about it the other day. So it's just it's a daily planner, and so it's to help incorporate spiritual disciplines. And so we've got it broke down to where there's a scripture that you apply to yourself every day. You put your name in the scripture, and so we've got a different scripture on every page for each day. There's an agenda with your non-negotiables, your prayer time, your exercise, and your growth, so that you're doing something to grow every day spiritually. Daily to-do list. And then there's on one side, there's time for journaling, like your prayer time and your prayers. And so it's got declarations at the bottom that you speak and declare every day of yourself. So it's teaching daily spiritual disciplines to grow yourself as a Christian. And so, and we come from that because we're both believe strongly in being disciplined. We're the women that are up at 5 o'clock in the morning and we're praying for our families, and we didn't start yesterday. This has been years, and so we teach that to our ladies. And so we just got a planner that teaches that.
In any of your work, does it have crossover to men?
I would love for it to. We've had men that have read Brazen to Bombshell, and he said every time I say girl, I just say boy.
And I've actually had men ask about the planner. Is there, and but everything that we've done has been kind of pushed towards women.
I have wished if there was some way to rename Brazen to Bombshell and make it for the general population. I mean, I feel like we could do both, because I did. When women are searching for a small group study, they're looking for a women's small group study. So I think that that's good to have that listed as that. But I would love to streamline it and make it for, make another option that would be for men or women.
We could do the Mahale edition called From Dud to Dynamite.
Hey, that's good. Because I was like, guys aren't going to want to be bombshells. So I don't know. I love that. Good job, James.
Title.
You could give away like marriage, at Christmas, the marriage packet. You'd have Dud to Dynamite, Brazen, James.
Yeah.
That's epic right there.
Like married to a bombshell.
Yes.
There you go.
And then you could really, because what's going to happen is husbands are going to see this transformation happening in their house.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to say, "What's this about?" And the wife's going to go, "Here."
Yeah.
And give them the male version of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like very much, I'm thinking now marketing wise, that if you go back through your current book, Brazen, and you also think about taking that same book and how would you write it to men?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because if we launch them together or in a package, in a package, along with a course and all that kind of stuff, it's going to be very helpful in the sales. You spend $1 to make 5 instead of spending $2 to make 5.
Mm-hmm.
You see where I'm going? So just think about that.
Yeah, that's great. Well, James gave a great little idea for a title. I know that.
Yeah, it's fine.
Thanks, James.
If you like his title better than mine.
Oh, no. I thought that was even a separate package. I thought we were doing Dust to Dynamite and then the Brazen Bombshell and then a couple study, Married to a Bombshell.
Well, I didn't think about that either, but I'd probably do the couple study a little bit later. Let's push that down because you can make a male-female version of it pretty easily. And if you do a male version, what I really highly recommend is go find a couple of solid guys
Mhm.
who are solid men of God,
Mhm.
have solid marriages.
We're
We
married
got
to 'em.
then have them. You know, it just gets lost. Male speaking.
Yeah, they don't want to. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why they don't want to hear my stories. Yeah, they don't want to hear about girl
So
stuff.
get them to. My point is to get them to review those and come
Mhm.
back and say, "This is how I think you should change this," and and have some spirited, healthy discussions.
That's
through
awesome.
Because it's really important.
Mhm.
It's so important. I'll just tell you a side story is Jim Doman, who is an author, Breaking Sin's Grasp. He was also there at NRB. He realized that through the whole editorial process of his book's directed towards men, and all the editors, all the proofreaders, everybody was a woman.
Oh.
And he went, Mike, should we get an editor to review this that's a guy? And I'm like, yes. And that person brought some changes to it. Also with where is it? Oh, you can't see it, but my book, Ghost Patriot, my line editor, it's a very gritty kind of Tom Clancy kind of book.
Mhm.
My line editor went through and feminized it, and she didn't mean to, but she did. And so the executive editor caught the changes that she made and said, no, we're not going to change that. Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, when I say gritty, it's like Navy SEAL combat
Mhm.
scenes, stuff like that, and you can't get on the on the radio and say, hey y'all, if you feel like coming over sometime soon, it would be really nice. These guys are shooting at us. It doesn't work.
Mhm.
That's exaggerating. Sorry. Okay, so how does this feel to you? I'm just spitballing. We take Brazen and we do a husband or man version of that, male version of that.
Mhm.
Go deep with your editorial, get the kind of coaching that you need, all of that in those two books. Shelve the second book until we get to a point where you think the heavy lifting of the first one's done.
Mhm.
Okay. Then move to that, because every one of our authors, you two and your editor are going to work really hard. There's all this heavy lifting that's going to happen. And then when you get to the point where you submit it back to Faith for review and peer review and all that, you'll feel like, now what do I do?
Mhm.
Okay, I've been working really heavily on these things, and now I don't have anything to do. Okay, that's the time to
Pick up the
start
other.
outlining your course, but also
Oh.
start focusing on your second book.
Mm.
How's that feel?
Sounds good.
And the course comes how much later than the book?
I try to launch them at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Now, I'll tell you they never do, but I try.
Mhm.
And so there's so many moving pieces in all of it. Because you're not just talking about the book and a video. You also got a study guide. You got descriptions and all of that. You have a design and all of that. You go back to hours of looking at the production of the video, and then you got changes and mistakes. But I try really hard to launch them at the same time. Frankly, usually the book comes out first, and then a couple moments later the course comes out. If you're patient enough, I would prefer to just, even if the book's way ready, let's just get this one done and then launch them together.
Mhm.
I'd much rather do that.
So is the process normally a year, would you say, by the time
Yeah.
you start to it launches?
Yeah, and don't pin me down to, Mike, you promised us a year, because you'll get into things like when we get the physical copy of the book, okay? And you get in there and you go, I didn't see these mistakes in the PDF versions,
Mhm.
okay? Because all of a sudden you're holding the book and you can see it.
Mhm.
Or the photos didn't come out. This one here, as an example, is kind of hard to understand what it is, where this one's a little clearer. So there's just things that happen that you don't know, and that delays a bunch of stuff. So just be patient with it, because what we want to do, especially for your first book, is deliver the best book possible, the absolute best book. It's never perfect, but it's the best book you can, and then the next one is the best book you can, but it's not perfect, and then the third one's the best book you can, but it's not perfect. And that goes that way with us as a publisher. Every book we put out, the next one's supposed to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the next one's supposed to be better, and then the next one's supposed to be better. Perfection's a pursuit, not an arrival.
Absolutely.
Does that help?
Yeah. You're starting out, you think that it would sell how many copies? I mean, I know y'all gave us a rough estimate, but y'all publish how many books a year, did you say?
We're doing 80 right now. We hope to be more like 350 at the end of this year.
So those 80, what's an average on the sales?
30 to 50,000 copies on average.
Okay, I was thinking that was it.
Yeah, and then 70% of those, 69% of those are course purchases. So you're talking about if we went with the 30,000 figure, you're talking about roughly $300,000 in royalties to you. Excuse me. If you only sold 50,000.
Mm-hmm.
So is there like a chain? Are there chain bookstores that y'all actually put it in, or it's all online? Is what? Not that I mean.
It's almost completely online.
Yeah.
Because the bookstores.
That's how everybody.
Yeah, bookstores are going out of business. First off. Secondly, when they do stock something, they'll stock what's selling on the bestsellers list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they don't take they don't take a chance at all with any new authors until they see it on the bestsellers list. Then they might take a chance on it.
Right.
So we just let the process of sales and reputation market to them.
Good.
No matter how many emails and sales calls and everything we do, none of that makes a difference. Because think about it, as a bookseller, as a book store owner, you're starving to death. You're barely making your rent every month, and you don't have a place to take a chance on something.
Right.
It's just the world we live in, and so we just embrace selling online.
Mm-hmm.
And if the stores pick it up, now I will say, if you have like locally, you have some bookstores and stuff like that. Yes, it would be good to go and talk to them and try to get into them and do a couple of book signings and stuff like that. But they're going to do that because you're a local author, not because
Right.
They think they're going to make a bunch of money on your book.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the world. It's the world of book publishing. Consumers have decided they're going to buy their books online.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that's where they've decided.
Mm-hmm.
So let us work up a. Next step would be we're going to do a little proposal for you. That won't take James but a little bit of time. I'll kind of pencil that out as soon as we hang up. You guys will look at that. You'll have questions. Then if you like what you see, then we can talk about. Then we'll just get you some contracts and away you go.
Okay.
I want this book. I want
Yay.
this project.
Good.
The two of you fit my ideal avatar for authors are people who want to change the world. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Prolific, meaning they want to write more books and do that more. Okay, so they've got a higher calling, a higher call. It's probably a better way to put that. And then they have the ability to put it out there. I've got a couple authors who are like on their 8th book,
Mm-hmm.
their 8th project like this, and that's the kind of folks I'm looking for, because it becomes just so. As the years go by, it becomes much easier to, when you go to write a book, you guys, okay, you know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
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 It takes almost minimal kind of coaching, and you know what the process is going to look like, and you know how we're going to respond to things, and it's just a much smoother way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
You fit our avatar, and you're great writers, and I love what you write about.
Good. We're glad. We're glad about that.
Mhm.
Good.
So,
Absolutely.
anything else, James? I did a lot of talking, buddy.
No, I think that's great. what we'll do is Mike and I, like he said, we'll get together so we can put the proposal together. I'll shoot that over to you. Obviously, we can set up a call as fast as you want to talk about that. But just like Mike said, I love the book, and I love
Good.
both of your attitudes and the heart behind it. And I'm excited to see you come on board, and I think we can help you do big things and impact a lot of lives. So
Awesome.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's great.
Praise God. It's awesome.
Can I tell you a fun Christian story?
Yeah, please.
So, one of our authors, his name's Andy McQuitty. He's a founding pastor of a big church in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And his wife, Alice, in her church, has been teaching women's ministry for 30 years in this church. It's an 8,000 person church. Okay,
Wow.
so when they have a women's deal, it's 300 women show up, 400 women show up.
Wow.
Alice, over the years, has developed many basically in-house studies, workbooks. No writing books like we're suggesting, just workbooks. Well, we have, I don't know if you've heard any of this, but Faith, my wife, has, she's also the associate publisher. She just recently lost her son, our son. He died just in January. And he was it didn't look like at all, especially on the surface, that the gospel ever got to him. Okay. Now remember, we live in northern Nevada, okay, closer to Reno, so we're over 1,000 miles from Dallas. I think we're like 1,500 miles from Dallas. And so after he died, I haven't even told you this, James. This is really cool. After he died, we had to go clean out his apartment, which we did. Brought it all over here to the house. It's all in our garage as we kind of go through it. Well, along the way, as we prayed for him and we ministered to him and whatnot, he met this woman who was a tattoo artist, because he was into tattoos, who had just recently got saved. And she was going to a church up in Reno. We joined them for one service while he was dating her. So she had given him some stuff to read about Jesus. And it had written in it. You know where this is going now? It was Alice McQuitty's stuff from Texas.
Wow.
That somehow found its way to northern Nevada, who met a brand new believer, the material did, met a brand new believer who was a tattoo artist, that gave it to our son.
Awesome.
And it was the only Christian material he had in his possession, outside of like 12 Bibles he's been given.
What are the chances of that? I mean, what are the chances?
Well, and then it so ministered to his mother. Okay, his mother is just
grasping for comfort. Yes, yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah, and she is digging through his stuff and finds his stuff, and she walks in and she goes, "Can you believe this?"
Wow.
And I'm like, I can believe it, but
wow,
you know, God never surprises me, but I haven't heard it all.
Right.
You know, and so I just was so blown away with it.
Wow.
And so I say that to say, just be encouraged by how this can work, how this can, you know, we do our part, and then the Lord's job is for distribution.
Yeah.
Amen.
You know, connecting with people and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just mind-boggling.
That
stuff.
is awesome. Yeah.
That is so awesome.
By the way, we called. She actually immediately wrote an email to Andy, and then I don't know if you know, but Julie Rhodes, our other author.
Yes, we met her. Yeah.
Okay, she's the McQuitty's daughter.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So I was on a call with her, telling her about this, and she's just like, "Oh wow,
that's awesome! Wow. How sweet."
So we had nothing to do with it. In fact, it was all the way up here in Nevada. I don't.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
God got it.
Right. What are the chances? It's just meant to happen.
Yeah.
All right. If you girls, ladies, excuse me, if you wouldn't.
I mean, you can call
All
us girl. We'll take girl any.
right. I don't want to offend anybody. Popping off.
We're unoffendable. We're implacable.
All right. Good. Amen. Your little short-term homework is to talk to your husbands if they would be contributors.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? And then let James and I talk a little bit. I just want to give them some outline on how to do the proposal and the contract, and then
Just don't tell your husbands that the title is based on them.
Yeah. I do have a question. Is there any way like we can look at like a workbook or video that's been done?
I'm glad you asked. Let me do that right now. I just didn't even think about it without you asking. Sorry. So you guys met Julie, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So let me just show you what she did, and I'm very proud of it. I'm going into our server. Just 1 second.
James, what's your weather like?
What's that?
What's the weather in Florida?
It is, well, today it was a little overcast, but it was still like 77
Wow.
degrees.
That's nice.
That's
When
great.
when I drove into the driveway after going to the store with my wife really quick, you know, all the grandbabies were in the front playing, and one was standing on the John boat acting like he was fishing, casting. he's 3, and his brother was doing pull-ups on a tree limb with his father. And Mama had the other one, who's 6 months old, on her back, and she was picking up and cleaning. So they were all
Wow.
outside. It was just like
That's
crazy
great.
going, and
Yeah.
so the weather is good.
Spring is here.
Yeah.
So this is episode 1 of Julie's course.
Okay.
This is really applicable for you,
Mhm.
you ladies to see it. Notice it's 13 minutes and 32 seconds finished.
Okay.
She shot for 20 minutes, but by the time we did trim and everything, it came down to 13. Remember, our courses, we like to be between 10 and 20 minutes long.
Okay.
Ours averaged 20, I think, didn't they, when we get them?
Mhm.
So let me show you how this came out.
Hi, friend. So, what's your thorn? Have you ever been asked that? Probably not in that way. But chances are, you have a thorn. Look around at your life, your neighbor's life. Maybe it's a chronic illness, a chronically difficult relationship, ongoing trauma, or continual guilt from the past. It's like a shadow cast across each beautiful, awful day. You might have several thorns at once, even at varying levels of intensity. The point is that life isn't just a series of clean-cut character arcs, encountering, overcoming, and healing from problems. Sometimes there's overlap residue. Sometimes you, the protagonist, keeps dragging out the storyline way beyond what's interesting or exciting. Thorns can mean drudgery and open-ended tedium. In April of 2020, I was a healthy mom of 2 kids with a husband, a pug, and a professional acting career in the theater. I jogged 4 times a week. I sang and danced in shows. I was accustomed to embodying characters who started with a problem and finally found the resolution, or at least a way forward at the end of the play. Then I got sick, and for the next year and a half, I would be plagued with what my medical team ultimately decided was a long-term COVID infection, followed by a cancer scare and surgery that threatened my career and made my symptoms even worse. How was I supposed to operate in this new category of normal? How was I supposed to talk to God about something he clearly didn't see fit to stop? Maybe you've asked these questions too. Maybe you're still asking them. But before we can ask these profoundly important questions, it's vital to stop and grieve what has been lost. There was a time before your thorn. Can you even remember it? The way you go through your day when you didn't have the face of that person who wronged you splashed across your mind, or before you had that pain radiating throughout your body, or before, fill in the blank. We are so quick to look for answers and for formula prayers that we don't stop to honor the time before we had to ask the questions or pray those prayers in the first place. My sweet grandparents, Grandmama and Granddaddy, lived in the same house in Paris, Texas, all of my life, with the same wallpapers on the walls, the pictures above the salmon-colored couch, the same knickknacks. It's all part of my memory's permanent collection. The house's roots seem to go down into the Earth's crust. If ever there was a before and after in any of my life's thorns, Paris always represents before. It was that sacred childhood space before real life breaks in. And the month before I got sick, my kids and I were in Paris visiting them when the news broke that spring break would be extended by a week due to this new COVID virus that was beginning to spread. I went upstairs to my mom's childhood bedroom, opened my phone, and I read about 2 doctors who had contracted this mysterious virus. Both were young moms. One survived, the other died. I'm going to get this, I said to myself, almost like an oracle. But the day was a beautiful spring day, and we were together as a family. My mom had made a birthday cake. I was able to take a deep breath and blow out the candles, something that would be impossible in about 3 weeks. The weekend before, my kids, Drew, Maddie, my husband Gordon, and our pug Eloise, took a hiking trip to Paladero Canyon. We snaked along those dusty trails through brush and up steep twists to reveal these stunning vistas of Texas grandeur. And hiking was easy. Our laughing was easy. My thinking was easy. What used to be easy for you? In 2 Corinthians 12, the Apostle Paul tells his readers that a thorn in his flesh was given to him so that he might not become conceited about the great revelations God had given him. You might recall that Paul, as a historic and religious personality, was a titan of intellect, leadership, charisma. This makes me, shall we say, hesitant to set my thorn alongside him and his. His writings, too, and the shepherding of the early church exploded the Christian phenomenon onto the world stage. And this has gone on to affect billions and billions of lives ever since. God had clearly given Paul some big-time insider information. He had real reasons to feel smugly self-centered, as he admits in Philippians 3. And then comes his thorn, a tormentor, a messenger of Satan, as he says. I'm sure you can relate. Although Paul begs God to be rid of this thorn, whatever it was, we don't know. Jesus tells him that my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. A short, simple answer, really. There's no explanation of how long this thorn will last or when it might ultimately resolve or how we might be using it to even advance the kingdom. Jesus skirts all of that and serves up his grace as a reasonable answer to Paul's every other question, which seemed to satisfy Paul. But if Paul was a woman, I'm sure he would have said, I need more details. What is grace, Jesus? What does sufficient even mean? Can you please tell me how this pain goes away? Those of us
So I don't want to show you the whole thing. But
She's great. Yeah, she's great.
So
Very
this is our
good.
So this is our actual studio. What we do is we will bring you and your husbands out. You'll when I say bring you, we'll have you come out. You guys have to pay for your airplane tickets, but we take care of everything else. So we usually put you up here at the house. I see the very same kind of setting. We'll change the background some to make it more unique to you. The fireplace, though, the warmth of it, all of that, to go into the teaching. I don't know if you know, I live in the Sierras in the mountains.
Awesome.
Far from Lake Tahoe. So we'll go up to Lake Tahoe too while you're here. It usually takes the recording, just the shooting. Usually is accomplished in a day. Sometimes it takes a day and a half, just depending on how much.
Mm-hmm.
We do the shootings on a Friday, so you'll come in on a Thursday, stay on Friday, usually go home on Saturday or Sunday morning. And that gives you a little bit of time so we can, have some fun too.
Mm-hmm.
We like Faith and I like to build relationships with everybody, and so and then it goes off to the post editors, and away they go. He, by the way, as you can see, tied the cover into it, into the color.
Looked nice, yeah.
Yeah, he also, there's some nuances that you don't really see until, I've watched that now, I don't know, a lot of times. Nuances like the change in music, Okay, it goes to a point, and then it picks up
Mhm.
speed. There's just a lot to it that
Yeah.
that makes your interest, opposed to it just being a talking head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah. So that's how we do it. But I'm glad you asked.
Mhm.
You see one.
Yes, that was great. Yeah,
Mhm.
great quality. That's great.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I think that was all mine.
So,
If
mm,
you
so
have more, don't hesitate to email them.
okay. So the course, are you thinking about our husbands actually doing a video course also, or what is in your minds? What are you thinking about that?
Well, it would be
we're just envisioning.
but there's a couple ways to do that. So,
Uh-huh.
In part, we just do one course, and then we have like the guys section.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I instead for you, you'd bring you and your husbands out here,
Mhm.
because we always invite the spouses.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're
Oh,
not
they
talking
would
about them
love it.
doing a video,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about
Uh-huh.
that.
Yeah.
Meaning, it would be ideal if we could do something with them. But if they don't,
I mean, they're
want to-
cute. I mean, I think they do.
Oh, yeah, they are.
We're not talking bad about them. I just can see Keith being like, "What?"
Yeah.
Now my husband's a pastor, so he's used to it every week, but it was funny.
Yeah, just know we always invite.
Yes,
spouses
that's
out.
smart. That's
And
good.
then, like the guy that's coming in 2 weeks, one of the authors is coming. He's actually not bringing his spouse, but his two sons,
Mhm.
16-year-old and 20-year-old,
Gotcha.
because they're going to stay 2 days and go skiing.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
And so, I really, we like to open up our home. We like to entertain. We like to
Mhm.
do all of that. And so, it makes it healthy.
Great.
Just like Julie, when Julie came out, Gordon came with her. Gordon's not involved in the book or the ministry at all, but it was nice to meet him and get to know him, and
Yeah,
so we feel like we have some relationship there.
that's
Okay.
great. Yeah, Julie's great. You can tell she's so sharp.
Mm-hmm.
Just great.
She is a dynamo.
Mm-hmm.
And she is about as perfect at doing everything that needs to be done as an author there is.
Yeah, you can tell.
That's great.
She's got it down.
Good job.
Has she
So I
done
got-
good on book sales so far? I mean, hers is out, right?
Yeah, her book is out, but the course is just coming out. It's at the top of the leaderboard of all of our books. It has not hit. It's not hit an Amazon bestseller, but or any of the other bestseller lists. But I'm very happy with
Mm-hmm.
its sales.
Good.
It's great.
And it's a unique book. Talking about COVID
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and those kinds of things. The other thing that she did was really unique in her book is that she goes back to saints of old who suffered much more traumatic things in their lives, and how they dealt with it and how they prayed. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's
Oh, but
actually,
that
for
is
me,
good.
a history lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's good.
I got to go in 4 minutes. I'm sorry. Any other
Okay.
things?
I don't think so.
We're good.
All right. Go ahead. We'll just drop you off and let me visit with James just
Okay.
a bit, and you'll hear from him soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
See y'all.
Bye bye.
All right.
Let me see how to get out of here. Oh, leave. Here we go. I was trying to leave. I was like, I don't know. Okay. I